What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'm doing another silly season update where I'm going to recap everything that's happened so far up to this point in the 2023 to 2024 NASCAR silly season. So anyways, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. At the beginning of silly season on January 12th of 2023, Kevin Harvick would officially announce he would retire at the end of the 2023 season. After 23 successful NASCAR Cup Series seasons, Kevin Harvick confirmed that he would be retiring. And Kevin Harvick would confirm on the day of the Busch Light Clash that he will be joining the Fox Sports booth starting in 2024. After a very successful career, Kevin Harvick hangs up the helmet and will join the Fox Sports booth. Then about a week later, Kyle Larson would officially announce he'd be running not only the 2024 Indianapolis 500, but also the 2025 Indianapolis 500, driving for Arrow McLaren. And we'll have support for Hendrick Cars and also have HendrickCars.com as a sponsor, and Hendrick Motorsports will support him in the endeavor as well. He'll be in a very competitive car and will have a shot to win both Indianapolis 500s, and honestly could have a chance to win both of them. Then, a few weeks later, in early February, we had multiple drivers starting to talk about some of their silly season plans. Denny Hamlin will speak to Bob Pockers in early February and late January, and he said he was working on the extension with Joe Gibbs Racing. He does feel confident that he will return in 2024. They're also working on their contract with 2311 Racing as well, so that they can also return in 2024 with Toyota. The biggest holdup right now is currently FedEx at the moment. FedEx's future is uncertain with Joe Gibbs Racing. If they can get that taken care of, Denny Hamlin will be back with Joe Gibbs Racing. After that, about a week later, Eric Almirola has spoken multiple times that his future is still uncertain past 2023. Now, Eric Almirola does have a multi-year contract with Stewart-Haas Racing, but it sounds like Eric Almirola is currently 50-50 right now, and he might retire at the end of the 2023 Cup Series season. After that, during the short track package test, Casey Mears spoke to the media and multiple reporters, and he says that he wants to at some point return to NASCAR. He'd like to make a couple starts in the NASCAR Cup Series, maybe 6 or 7 NASCAR Cup Series starts, or race in other series in the future in NASCAR, but Casey Mears has indicated that he wants to return to NASCAR. Then we had our first major silly season signing in 2023 in early February, as Chase Briscoe would be confirmed that he had signed a multi-year contract extension with Stewart-Haas Racing. Now, we don't know exactly how long the deal is, but it's basically what I understand, is pretty much a long-term deal. Chase Briscoe has had quite a bit of success with Stewart-Haas Racing already and deserves the extension. Then, during the Rolex 24 at Daytona, Romain Grosjean expressed interest to Jennifer Fryer about maybe running in NASCAR, and someday would like to run in the Daytona 500. Romain Grosjean currently drives a 28-car free Andretti Autosport. Would be really fun to have in NASCAR, and also has a fantastic personality. Then, during Daytona Media Days in the second week of February, basically the week of the Media Days, Daniel Suarez would announce that he has signed a multi-year contract extension with Trackhouse Racing. Now, the extension had not been clear on how long it was. From what people have said, it might be up until 2025. There were a lot of people think it was going to happen, and Daniel Suarez will be with Trackhouse Racing at least for the next few years. On that same day, it would be announced that Alex Bowman had also signed a contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports through the 2026 season. And also was announced that Ally has also signed an extension through 2028, meaning Alex Bowman will have a long-term commitment with Hendrick Motorsports, and it would not surprise or shock me if Alex Bowman does end up getting an extension through the 2028 season in the near future. Then, on the next day, after Ross Chastain had been asked questions about his long-term future, Ross Chastain would be confirmed that he had also signed a long-term extension with Trackhouse Racing. Now, they did not say how long his extension was with Trackhouse Racing, but it's a long-term deal, and Ty Norris joked and said it's going to be until when his beard is gray. So Ross Chastain will have a long-term commitment with Trackhouse Racing for many years to come, and hopes to win championships and many races. Then it'd be a few weeks before silly season would kind of start heating up again, and it would start with Junior Motorsports. As Junior Motorsports has stated multiple times, and Dale Jr. has stated, they have tried to continue to pursue potentially going to the Cup Series as early as 2024. However, the biggest thing that's holding up Junior Motorsports and making the jump up to the Cup Series is the charter system. And there have been rumors and rumors that Spire Motorsports, and people have indicated on social media that Spire Motorsports could give up one of their charters to Junior Motorsports, but they also give their charter up to another organization. That being said, Junior Motorsports continues to try to pursue a jump up to the NASCAR Cup Series, and I think that there's a chance it could happen, but we'll have to wait and see. Then Ricky Stenhouse Jr. actually revealed to the media after Daytona 500 that he actually had conversations with Stewart-Haas Racing, but nothing materialized. There were rumors that he could drive for Stewart-Haas Racing in 2023 and maybe drive that 10 car. However, he signed a long-term extension with JTG Doherty Racing. But here is a potential possibility, especially him being part of Kevin Harvick Corporate Management, that he could in the future go over to Stewart-Haas Racing. But that will be not for a little bit. Then we saw Steve Lauletta get on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio in the second or third week of February, and 2311 Racing is planning expansion. Now, they have a third car that is still potentially available for 2024, though it does sound like Toyota may not expand to 3 full-time cars for 2024, but 2311 Racing has indicated they would like to expand in a foreseeable future, and it could happen in 2024. Then a little bit down the road into the season, Ford executive Mark Rushbrook went on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, and they are planning to discuss Hailie Deegan's future for 2024. Now, there could be a potential she could move out to the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2024, but it is dependent on her performance at the Tricon Garage or whatever team she's driving for currently in the Truck Series, that being Thor Sport Racing. She'll need to perform really, really good at the team and start doing as good as she can if she wants to go to Xfinity, but I think she would do much better in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Then, Kurt Busch actually went on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio as he was in Chicago and has indicated many, many times over the last couple of weeks that he is continuing to work on a potential return to NASCAR. He's been giving more and more positive updates to the NASCAR media, and it sounds like there is a chance that Kurt Busch could return in the coming weeks and in the coming months. He says he's feeling much better, and on a day-by-day basis, things do continue to improve on Kurt Busch's behalf. Now, he indicated during that Chicago meeting, though, that there is a third car that 2311 Racing does have. Obviously, we've seen that car this year with Travis Pastrana, and they've been trying to maybe get Kurt Busch back behind the wheel. My guess is he could return at Chicago Street Course event here, not too far down the road. He also could return on a full-time basis in the future, though he's indicated that he doesn't want to return on a full-time basis. Nonetheless, it sounds like there is a chance that he could come back in the foreseeable future. Then on the Dale Jr. download, Chip Ganassi Racing was on the Dale Jr. download, and Chip Ganassi says that he's not ruling out a potential possibility of Chip Ganassi Racing making a return to NASCAR. Chip Ganassi Racing has not been in the Cup Series since 2021 as they sold their assets to Trackhouse Racing and gave up their driver lineup to Trackhouse Racing, where Ross Chastain, who drove for Chip Ganassi, went over to Trackhouse, and Kurt Busch went over to 2311 Racing. It'd be really cool to see Chip Ganassi Racing back in the NASCAR Cup Series, and it sounds like they're not ruling out a possibility of that happening. Then Scott McLaughlin, he went on social media about a week later, and he actually has shown some interest in racing in NASCAR. Now, a few years ago, there were rumblings and rumors that Scott McLaughlin might go into NASCAR and race in NASCAR. But it is nonetheless really cool to see that Scott McLaughlin has a little bit of interest and maybe wanting to race in NASCAR. Obviously, I would imagine it would be a team like Team Penske. Maybe he drives in the Xfinity Series. Of course, Team Penske has not raced in the Xfinity Series since 2022. But Scott McLaughlin could have a shot at racing in NASCAR in the future. Then, after the success of Jenson Button racing in the NASCAR Cup Series at Circuit of the Americas, Jenson Button has actually said they enjoyed it so much racing in NASCAR, getting the experience, that he's actually considering going full-time in NASCAR. Now, he never said it would be a full-time Cup ride or full-time Xfinity, but it's interesting to see that Jenson Button is interested in racing in NASCAR, and it's cool to see that he wants to come in race in NASCAR, a former Formula One champion who won the F1 championship in 2009. I think it'd be really cool to see Jenson Button have a shot to come to NASCAR. Then, over the last couple of weeks, we've talked a lot about Carl Edwards, because Carl Edwards, after being announced to be part of NASCAR's greatest 75 drivers list, Carl Edwards first indicated a few weeks ago that he had visited the Trackhouse Racing shop, not to get behind the wheel, just visit the Trackhouse shop. But then at Darlington about a week or two ago, Carl Edwards got asked by the media a lot of questions and also by fans at a fans meetup that was going on and also on the broadcast because he was on the Fox broadcast. He is now 100% ruling out a return to NASCAR. Now, he never said it's 100% possibility, but he does say there is a slight chance that he could in the future return to NASCAR. If he does return, I think Trackhouse Racing has to be the favorite organization that he could end up going to. Maybe 2311 Racing as well, since we all thought maybe 2311 Racing was where he was going to go. But he could end up returning to NASCAR and drive once again. But it may not be in 2024, but it could be in 2024. Then, after Mark Truex Jr. ended up winning at Dover about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Mark Truex Jr. spoke to the media and he still is unsure on his 2024 plans. Now, he told Bob Pockrass and all the media members that his decision could come by the end of next month and in late June. With how successful Mark Truex Jr. has been, I could see him returning in 2024, but I also could see Mark Truex Jr. retiring at the end of the 2024 3 NASCAR Cup Series season, but I think there is a chance he comes back in 2024. Then a few days later, we got some really interesting announcement, and one of the biggest shocking announcements of the silly season up to this point, and it is the fact that Legacy Motor Club will be switching to Toyota in 2024 and will be getting Toyota engines. Now, Eric Jones and Noah Gragson are going to be the drivers of that team. So Eric Jones and Noah Gragson, of course, were two drivers who were in the Toyota racing development team for many, many years. Eric Jones, of course, who won the 2015 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship and also won a lot of races in Xfinity and did win the Center 500 2019 for Joe Gibbs Racing, is being welcomed back home. They had to get rid of him, unfortunately, back in 2019 or 2020 when Christopher Bell and the Levine Family Racing shut down, and they had to go between Christopher Bell and Eric Jones. But this is a big move for Legacy Motor Club, and they will be looking toward future plans and looking to have a successful organization and a successful 2024. And 2023 basically is a year of not figuring out because they'll be switching to Toyota in 2024. Then about a couple days later, Lewis Hamilton spoke to media before the Miami Grand Prix, and he showed interest in maybe wanting to race in NASCAR, but also interest in maybe wanting to run an IndyCar as well. Now, Lewis Hamilton has had some starts in NASCAR, well, not racing in NASCAR, but he has driven a stock car as he drove at Watkins Glen, and he swapped with Tony Stewart, basically with the Mobil 1 sponsorship back in 2011, when he drove for McLaren, they basically had the Mobil 1 colors. Lewis Hamilton, it'd be really cool to have him in the sport, and maybe he could go to Project 91. Then we started talking about Ryan Truex a couple days later because Ryan Truex, after winning at Dover, he started talking to they're currently working on full-time plans for 2024 with Joe Gibbs Racing for Ryan Truex. After success of having a really good run with Joe Gibbs Racing, since the fact right now that he does not have any more starts planned with Joe Gibbs Racing for 2023, I would think that there is a chance that we could see Ryan Truex back in the Xfinity Series with Joe Gibbs Racing, or maybe, just maybe, in the Cup Series with Joe Gibbs Racing. After that, Jimmie Johnson spoke to the media after Legacy Motor Club switched to Toyota, and Jimmie Johnson still is interested in racing in 2024. Now, it could be racing in Le Mans, it could be running with other organizations as well, but we could all see Jimmie Johnson have an opportunity to maybe return in the future and get a shot to race in NASCAR in 2024. Though he's been racing in 2023, he could make more starts in 2024. After that, during the Truck Series race, there were some rumblings and indications from Bob Pockrass at Kansas that GMS Racing could switch their Truck Series team to Toyota in 2024. That is going to be a really, really big effect on two drivers, that being Roger Carruth and Daniel Dye, as they're both part of the Chevy pipeline. Both drivers could end up losing their opportunities to be with that team and could have to move to another organization. Roger could end up driving for Rev Racing or KBM, and Daniel Dye could end up driving for KBM as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but GMS could end up switching to another manufacturer as well. Then, Kasey Kahne at Darlington, he spoke to the media, and he actually has considered a return to NASCAR. Now, Kasey Kahne has not raced in NASCAR since 2018, but it sounds like he does want to come back and try it out. He says he's feeling a lot more healthy, and he feels much better compared to where he was when he left NASCAR in 2018. So it sounds like he could return in the future. Then, a few days ago, after Shane Van Gisbergen stuff was announced for him to drive the Project 91 car, we got indications and rumors that Brody Kostecki could also make his debut in NASCAR in the foreseeable future, driving for either Richard Childress Racing or Joe Gibbs Racing. As a Rabbis Racing, which the team he drives for in V8 Supercars, they have some work with RCR and Joe Gibbs Racing. Brody Kostecki's had quite a bit of success in the V8 Supercars, and I think has won some races in V8 Supercars, so he has a lot of experience and could come to NASCAR. Then, a few days ago, some SHR news kind of started creeping up. So according to NASCAR Rumor Nostalgia on Instagram, he indicated two reports. First, Harrison Burton could be the lead candidate to drive the 10 car in 2024. That is, of course, if Eric Almirola is to retire. Harrison Burton has Kevin Harvick Incorporated management and also has Dex Imaging as a sponsor. So that could be a big reason why he could end up driving for Stewart-Haas Racing in the 2024 season. Though it's not confirmed, it sounds like it could be a potential possibility. In that same report, it was reported that Zane Smith could drive the 21 car for the Wood brothers in 2024. Now, Zane Smith is under contract with Ford through 2026, and there's been some rumblings that Team Penske in the long-term future could maybe want him, but I'm not entirely sure on that. But Zane Smith could end up driving the 21 car for the Wood brothers. I would imagine that Ford will give him better upgrades. I think that Zane Smith's a better driver personally. I would put him in the 10, but it sounds like Zane Smith could drive the 21 car for the Wood brothers in 2024. And a final major silly season news that we've kind of gotten recently is another Stewart-Haas Racing story, and it's revolving around Josh Berry. So we now know, according to The Athletic, that Josh Berry is finalizing a contract to drive the number 4 car for Stewart-Haas Racing in 2024 and replace Kevin Harvick. And according to that report from The Athletic, Ronnie Childers is expected to be the crew chief. Now, Josh Berry has made select starts in the NASCAR Cup Series, scoring 2 or 3 top 10s up to this point. And for a guy that has not had a lot of next-gen experience, I think he's done a really solid and a really, really good job. Now, Josh Berry, let's be honest, is not going to be as good as Kevin Harvick, but I think Josh Berry will do a really good job with Stewart-Haas Racing. That announcement was supposed to come this week, and it sounds like it's going to be a few weeks down the road, maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks. The deal has not been signed, but it sounds like it's getting really close to being signed at this particular moment. So those are all the major silly season things that we know. Let's talk about some other potential possibilities. First, Todd Gillen. Now, Todd Gillen's been running around with different organizations and has driven the 15 car, the 51 car, and has mostly driven the 38 car. Todd Gillen is definitely one of the highest prospects in the Ford camp right now, and I think there's a chance he does go back to front row in 2024. But what if Zane Smith does return to that team and go and drive for front row in the Cup next year? That could be a potential possibility. Next, let's talk about Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman, we don't know what his future is past a few races he's going to run. He's not planning to run any of the bigger tracks, so we could see him run in some of the smaller tracks in the future. The final driver I want to mention is John Hunter Nemechek. Now, John Hunter Nemechek has been rumored to drive for other organizations and Stewart-Haas Racing. But John Hunter could end up driving for Joe Gibbs Racing Cup in 2024. Whether Denny Hamlin does go and drive for 2311, does return to Joe Gibbs Racing, or of course, if they decide to have Martin Truex Jr. retire at the end of the season, he doesn't come back in 2024. I think John Hunter has a chance to go in the Cup, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in regards to that. So, that is going to be it for the 2023 NASCAR Silly Season Update number 2. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications on as soon as when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links description below with that, and comment your thoughts below on today's video. What's your thoughts on today's Silly Season Update? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Later today, there might be a second video on the channel, depending on if the weather does hold up for the race or not at Charlotte. But I'll be honest, the weather is not looking great for Charlotte. Then tomorrow on the channel, we have the Indy 500 race review. And if the weather holds up for the Coke 600, we should have the Coke 600 race review out on the channel. But we're going to have to wait and see on that. And we got a lot of content coming out as well in the coming days. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.